right. Thanks for coming back to my channel. I'm Dwayne Kavanagh. I'm a licensed mortgage agent here in Ontario, and I have Mehdi Motevalibashi from Bashi Homes, who's just an awesome guest. My viewers love him. And why don't you introduce yourself, Mehdi?
Awesome. Thanks, Dwayne. Yeah, I'm Mehdi. I'm a general contractor here in Hamilton and Ancaster. Um, I do a lot of custom builds, but what I did a lot and for myself is duplex conversions and triplex conversions. I myself own a bunch of duplexes and triplexes here, and yeah, it's a fun process. I'm very excited to talk about the duplex conversion today.
Well, that brings us to our topic. That's exactly it. So, what we want to do, I've got a lot of clients, either they're first-time home buyers or just new investors to rentals, and they're always looking for ways and innovative ways and strategies to buy homes and rental properties. And I love the concept for first-time home buyers. I like house hacking. And house hacking, pretty simple, is basically you're going to buy a property where you can rent out one of the units and live in one yourself. So I had a buddy of mine that when he graduated college, he bought a house. All his buddies lived in it, and the guy had that thing paid off in I think less than 15 years. So not a bad idea, not a bad strategy to get started. So we thought we would look at this property here in Hamilton. The location is 358 Guelph Street. What do you think about? So start with the price. What do you think about the price compared to buying a home over the last couple of years, Mehdi?
Well, I think this is a great price. I like not knowing the exact like moment price at the moment, but I bought houses on the mountain off market for more than this. So, and it was like 2 years ago. So, I mean, looking long term, this is a steal. Like, again, you got to run comps and everything, but this is great. And when prices were at like 600, 700, everybody would say, "Oh, there's no opportunity. We can't. The deal doesn't work. Number doesn't. Numbers didn't work then." But this price and the rent being even higher than 2 years ago, I think this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, I honestly I have people going out of Hamilton to buy in the range of $500,000 for a single detached home, right? And typically
Right,
they're in
right.
the sixes that they're buying in, and there's bidding wars. So I don't think this
Yeah.
is going to last on the market for long. But I do like that it's a corner unit. So the idea here is we're going to get Mehdi's expertise on what potentially could be done. We'll start with a duplex, and then I'll ask him questions on whether this can be done as a triplex. But where do we start, Mehdi? What do we look at first to decide whether or not this house can be converted to a duplex?
Sure. So hypothetically, most of houses can be converted into duplex as long as they have like a second story or a basement. But uh, we want to avoid costly construction that doesn't add a lot of value, and that would be like putting a separate entrance to the house. So this house looks like it has a back entrance that goes directly into the basement. So that's good. Um, it is. It has a again looks like it has a double driveway. Again, that's great because for duplex, it's great. It's more desirable to have side by side driveways, double driveways, and so that's one thing. Second would be location. Again, Hamilton Guelph Street, great location, but you want to buy it in the location that is desirable for tenants. I would say in general, the whole like Hamilton market is very desirable for rent. So I love Hamilton and any neighborhood, like except for a few pockets, but like the majority of Hamilton is great for rental market. And yeah, and then we can get into like more for just for duplex. Then we can see how are the then we go inside. So how are the mechanical placed?
Let's go back, Mehdi, before we get into the pictures. I want to have a look at this because it says 0 plus 2 bedrooms and then 1 bathroom. So it looks like to me that they basically have the bedrooms in the basement. Does that make sense?
Looks like, yeah. If it says 0, it means there's no bedroom above ground.
So then what would you do in that case?
So again, looking at this house from outside, I haven't been inside this house, and we're just like looking at the listing as an example. Looks like we can add, for sure, we can add a 1 bedroom, but can we make it a 2 bedroom? Gotta get creative, see if it allows in one side. Most of houses would allow for a 2 bedroom, but you don't want to make 2 bedroom too small, or make everything too small that is not functional anymore. So yeah, 1 bedroom I would say for sure it's possible.
Yeah, so
adding a bedroom and the bathroom. I'm not sure if the bathroom, because it says 1. I'm guessing the bathroom. Yeah, it looks like it's above ground. So there is already a bathroom. But you
right.
see,
So
bathroom, the way it's located, it's not using the space very good. So there might be opportunity to rearrange everything in the bathroom and make room, take some space from the living room and make a bedroom.
So it sounds like for this one here, we're going to have to do a little bit of a gut, right? So we're going to have to potentially renovate the top floor to put maybe a 1 bedroom on the top floor for a single
Right.
couple, right? With no kids,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And then build out a 2 bedroom, potentially 2 bedroom plus in the basement, depending on the availability in the room. So if we look down, let's go look downstairs for a second. We can start looking at some of the bedrooms. This one looks like it's a small kid's bedroom. This one here's, so it said 2, right? So this must be the main one here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another room too. So this is another room. Looks like 3 rooms. This must be like a play area or something for the kids. Looks like, or no, there's a bed there. So they must have figured out a 3. And then this is not. This part of it's not finished either, right?
Yeah. So so first of all, this is great. So hot water tank and furnace is under the stairs. They're tucked in a corner. That camp for legal duplex, you get a fire separate everything between the 2 units. So we don't need to, like a lot of basements, they have like furnace right in the middle of the basement, and then water tank and a corner, and then you gotta like rearrange everything to put it in a corner, make a furnace room. So this is good that already has everything in a corner.
All right. So let's just come back to that higher view of the property here. This is a good view of the property. So at this point, you're at the stage. Walk us through how you start to develop your plan, Mehdi. So when you're looking at a property as an investment property for a duplex, where do you start? What sort of things do you think about, and what gets included in your plan?
Yeah, so definitely I first want to see like analyze it price wise, and the rental market, how much would be the rent, how much would be the refinance and everything, which I know we're going to talk about later. But uh, assuming the deal makes sense in terms of construction, I want to see what is the zoning. Again, uh, most of the houses, majority of the houses are good for a duplex or triplex. The city of Hamilton allows that, even fourplexes. But for this house, duplex 100%, triplex, um, there's a potential to build 1 unit on the top, or put an addition at the back. The detached ADU or garden suite, or like a separate structure in the front lawn, that should be verified. I'm not sure if that's doable, but to put an addition and fire separated from the house, that might be an option.
Interesting.
So I look at that. Sorry?
Yeah, interesting. That's interesting. Where you do it.
Yeah, yeah. So, and also because it's a corner lot, there is an opportunity to apply for a separate parking pad in the other side of the house, like other corner, which gives you another parking spot, which is not tandem. Uh, that is great. So yeah, there is definitely opportunity there. And what else? I look when I look at this, the neighborhood looks great, tidy, so very desirable. So I would say, and the location is great. So as long as I make the unit desirable, I can get the top tenants there.
Yeah, that's a good view of actually the whole yardage. It's like when they built this house. If I feel like they built it the wrong way, they should have turned it the other way. Do you know what I mean? But when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking about build homes faster, build 23. I think about reimagining neighborhoods, the Hamilton project for rezoning to do a minimum of a triplex right now, and it looks like we could almost go out so we can build more house to the right of it and go up, right? So there is
Sure,
some
yeah,
potential here on this lot to potentially build out, potentially even a triplex, and or even
right,
build
yeah,
up to build a better duplex, right? Do you know what I mean? Like the
absolutely,
main
yeah.
floor is the kitchen, but then you put the bedrooms upstairs, right?
Upstairs,
Maybe.
correct.
So
Yeah,
let's do this. I love that. I love the way you think and your creativity around this. I think what we can do now is maybe just run through the numbers and go through a bit of the details of the plan. And to do that, I'm going to share my screen. I've got a bit of a presentation here.
so yeah, one thing I forgot to mention was the mechanical. I look at the mechanical and the furnace room and everything, see if we can keep the cost down. Obviously, new furnace, new hot water tank, uh, upgraded panel, electrical panel is desirable. So for this house, looks like the furnace and hot water tank was in good condition or newer. Um, what we want to do is to upgrade the electrical service to a 200 amp that can support 2 units easily, and potentially separate the hydrometers. So later on in the process, we can have the tenants pay their own hydro bill.
Exactly. Well, that's a good transition to get into sharing kind of the numbers. So let's do this here. Let me share the screen. So I just put together, Mehdi, a little bit of a slide to help us kind of talk to some of the points. So the goal here is to really give a step-by-step guide for new real estate investors on how to evaluate the duplex. So the first part of this, we looked at an opportunity. We found one. That's just one. There's lots of them out there. But we found one. I think many times when you're looking at an investment, I hear you want to buy the deal. You don't want to worry about interest rates or mortgages. You want to just look at the deal on itself and does it pencil. So what we want to do today is kind of walk you through how to evaluate that stuff, and then some things that should go into your plan. So I'll start with the three strategies. So the three strategies, and you've done this many times, and feel free to elaborate. But if you're going to buy a home, but use home equity, or you're going to buy an investment property, I think there's three things you can look at. You can house hack as a first-time home buyer, and all that really means is you're going to buy something like this or a duplex, where you can live in one of the units and then rent out the other, while that renter is helping you pay for your mortgages and your expenses. What do you think about that strategy, Mehdi?
House hacking is great. Like I love it. I did it, and it helps a lot with growing the business. It helps a lot in the beginning with property management side of things, because you're living there and you're not managing a rental. You're just uh, keeping your house clean and tidy and fixes stuff. So house hacking is great. Yeah, it teaches you. the how to deal with tenants. It's a very good, smooth transition into becoming a landlord and a real estate investor.
Exactly. And without getting into too many properties, because I know you have quite a few, obviously you've created your wealth by following that strategy as well, right? Just
Yeah.
happens that you're an amazing general contractor too, right? I'm sure you had some
Thanks.
cost savings there, right?
Well, I got to say, the first property that I renovated, it was a triplex in Toronto. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I look back and I'm just like embarrassed of what I did. I was in construction. I was a project manager. I've never renovated a rental unit, and I had no idea how to separate units, what to use, what contractor. Do I use a general contractor? Do I do it myself? And I decided to do it myself, and it was a terrible idea. Um, I then after that I decided to become an expert in renovating these, and made a bunch of more mistakes on other properties, and I still make a lot of mistakes, but like I'm much better than day one. But again, house hacking and rental properties in general is very forgiving. So you do it, some part of it, like you do a mistake, and then you can fix it. There are tenants. Yeah, the chances are you can like rent it for less, or you find a problem later. There's more maintenance, but in the long run, the real estate benefits of owning a real estate piece of real estate like will make up for that.
For sure. So I'll just briefly talk about turnkey. Turnkey is pretty straightforward. This is where you're going to buy a rental property like a duplex. It's already a legal duplex. It's already rented out. It's got lease agreements. It's got tenants in it, and it's already generating income. So you're not going to live in it. It's a different mortgage. You need to definitely have 20% down. You can't put less than 20% down on that. You need to be owner occupied to do that. So the mortgage is a little bit different. Interest rates can be a little bit higher, not much, but a little bit higher. But you're buying it as an investment, and it's already maybe cash flowing, maybe not in today's market. We don't know. You have to look at each deal. And then the last one, which we're going to talk about more in depth today, is value add. So that's buying a property, knowing that there's some potential in it, that we can make some changes to it to increase the value of the home, for one, but also increase the value of the rent. So there's lots of things we can do. We can cut operational expenses. We can make it more energy efficient. And Mehdi's going to talk all about that stuff. So let's jump into the next slide. And that is evaluating a legal duplex. So I'd love, Mehdi, maybe since you're the expert on it, why don't you talk to, location. I'll maybe talk about the financial analysis, and you can cover off the rest. How's that sound?
Perfect. Yeah. Well, you said it right. Location, location, location. The only thing we cannot change is the location and neighborhood. We can knock down the house and build a brand new house, but we can't change the location. So that's very, and it doesn't mean that you got to go to the most expensive neighborhood. It has to be a desirable neighborhood for your goal for having top tier tenants, good neighborhood, close to amenities, or whatever the goal is. So yeah, you want to take it for financial analysis, or you want to?
So I want to add a little bit to the location thing. So I've seen it. I've seen a bunch of YouTube videos on this, but there's one guy, Christian Spiefogel, who does this out in Ottawa. He's a master at rental properties, and he was giving me an example where he looked at a location where it had a triplex that was really run down. It had bad tenants in it. They were dealing drugs out of there, but it was in a neighborhood that was close to the hospital, and a lot of doctors and nurses lived in that community, but they weren't happy with the quality of the tenants. So what did he do? He went in, renovated that thing, made it a luxury triplex, like really stepped up the game, put in heated flooring, like really spent a lot of money. But now he can charge the right amount of rent for it, and the neighbors are happy about it because they got rid of the tenants that were in there that were causing trouble, and they're bringing in more tenants, plus it increased their property value because of the amount of money. So it wasn't cheap about the renovation, but that's where that location could be potential, like good neighborhoods that have potential for growth too. So is anything going to be happening in that neighborhood? Any local businesses going to be development there? Any more condos going to be developed there? So you got to look at those things too. You got to look at crime rate and things like that. But yeah, location I think is everything. And then for the financial analysis, I'm going to keep it based on it being residential as a residential mortgage, not a 5 unit plus. So we'll just stay close to that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But we want to know, what's it going to cost to buy it? What's the upfront cost of the investment? So what equity are you putting into it? Skin in the game. We're going to look at interest rates and mortgage rates. We're going to look at additional expenses that you're going to have now that you're a landlord, like insurance is going to be a little bit more. Then you have property maintenance is going to be more, that sort of thing. And your interest rate might be a little bit different because it's a rental property depending on your strategy. So we'll go through that. And then we want to look at how to evaluate it based on cash flow analysis and that sort of thing. So we'll do that in a little bit, but we will definitely talk about that. That is one of the main parts. And then back over to you about the construction plan, Mehdi.
Yeah, sure. So again, before I buy the property, I would like to go in and see what is the potential, exactly what we did now, but in more detail. And I would love to go with my realtor, because it doesn't matter what I like the house to look like, if it's pretty or not, except for if I want to live in it. But what matters is that what tenants like, what our client like, which is the tenant in this case. So realtors, a realtor who's very good at real estate investing and knows about rental market is a great advisor in this case, and knows, do you put a 2-bedroom in the basement or 1 bedroom? Do tenant need a small kitchen, bigger kitchen, smaller area? What kind of bathroom? So all of these, I would get their advice, and based off of that, I will put together a plan and discuss it with my architect, see what is now possible in this space. So the combination of realtor and architect with this team, that now I can have a good construction plan, and then with that plan, we go ahead and purchase the property and put the design the units and submit it for permit, for building permit. And then after that, it's just obtaining the building permit, the construction period, which well, in my mind, is the easiest part. but just because it's before construction, it's so important to analyze the deal, to find out about if this is a good opportunity or not. And once it gets to the construction, it's the exciting part for everyone, and that's when you see the change happens.
Yeah, and I think in the last part, when it comes to your exit strategy, I think before you even decide, and it's no different than when I'm having a conversation with a client about their mortgage, it's like I want to understand what are your short-term and long-term goals. So, and you got to think about everything. You got to think about your job. You got to think about your family. For example, if you're in a job where you potentially could be transferred out to another province or another part of the city, or you got to commute into Toronto, it doesn't make sense to live here in Hamilton, and you got to commute every day. Like, you got to think about all those different things. And that's why I like to have a plan on what you're going to do if you're going to exit. You're going to keep the property, rent it out. Are you going to sell the property, take the equity, and use that to buy another property and do that again? It's just good to have an overall plan. And maybe I'll just throw it back to you. You've done this so many times. How does the exit strategy come to play for you?
Well, I would love to have option, although I hate selling properties.
That's true.
I mean, I think everybody's like that. I would like to buy it and keep it forever. That would be the extreme, ultimate wealth generator. But I would love to have an exit strategy when things get tight and interest rate fluctuate or life circumstances. Um, for that, the exit strategy starts with buying at the right price, the right location, doing the right kind of construction inside, the right kind of renovation, not too little, not too much, something that is desirable, that you gotta have the end in mind for renting it for sure, but for selling it, if it's desirable for the next person who's buying this property, might be a homeowner or another investor. Um, so yeah, I look at it when I think about this exit strategy. I look at all of these and try to make something that at the end gives me option. If I want to rent it, if I want to live in it, if I want to sell it, it will be possible.
Cool. All right, let's just skip through a couple of these because we've already talked about location. Let's go into how we analyze the deal. So right now I'm using a software that's a free software you can get online. It's called Landlord. And it's nice because you can just enter in some specific numbers and it pre-populates some analytics for you. So for example, we looked at this location. We looked at the purchase price being $515,000. I took this as being a first-time home buyer, or you can do it otherwise. It's up to you. You just click the first-time home buyer, and all that's going to do is reduce your upfront closing costs because you're going to get a percentage of the land transfer tax back. But so the property valued today and purchase price is at $515, and what we're trying to figure out is how much money can I make if I rented it out as a duplex on its own, and how much could I make in value long term by making some improvements. So right away, I think Mehdi, what's the average kind of construction costs range for something like this in a duplex?
Yeah, to look at it in a very broadly, it's a house like this on the lower side. You're looking at about like $70,000, $80,000, like for renovations, fire separation, new kitchen, bathroom. But the more you get into like the more it needs renovation. For example, like adding a bedroom, removing a load bearing wall, um, possibly upgrading some mechanicals or like moving mechanicals, moving ductworks, it will add up, and to turn into duplex could go all the way to 150,000 for a normal. So anywhere between 70, 80,000 to 150,000 would be the budget for a normal duplex conversion.
Nice. So that's what I put in there. I just averaged it out. I put $100,000 as our improvement costs. You can actually, with this software, Mehdi, you can click on this works plan and you can actually outline and detail specific plans from DC charges, development charges, to any other charges for labor, for construction costs, for permits, all that stuff. You can include that in a very detailed plan here, which is actually pretty cool. That's why I like the software.
Right. Awesome.
So for this one here, we put in a purchase price of 515. We threw in 100 grand of improvements costs. If I'm not going to house hack it and I'm just going to rent it out, we just used some comparable market rents, which got me roughly around 4,000 for a 2-unit. So renting out 2 units in the Hamilton in that area. And then we just added some closing costs. The next thing we need to do is talk about the mortgage. So in this case here, we're going to assume you have at least 20% down. So you're going to be putting in 80% mortgage on this one here. So the mortgage amount is going to be about 412,000 is what you're going to need. We're going to amortize it over 25 years. That way we can get a lower interest rate. If we do the 25 years, because it's under $1 million, we can do insurable, which is basically the same rates as insured. Very close. So try to keep our rates low. And so our monthly mortgage payment on this one would be about $2,406. So if we can rent it out for $4,000, we're going to make a little bit of cash there, right? So
Right.
we can see the total cash invested at this point is about $219,000, which is about 34% of the overall investment. And then we can look at things more long term, right? And maybe Mehdi, you'll speak to a little bit about that. But There's some metrics on here that are more meant for commercial. We're not going to talk about gross rent multipliers or DCR. But what I would like to talk about is potentially having an exit and doing an equity takeout, whether that's doing a refinance 5 to 10 years from now or 5 years from now, pulling out that money and using that to buy another investment property. So talk to us a little bit about buying it at 515, putting in the renovations, and what goes through your mind when you're doing the calculations of figuring out how is this going to be a good investment for an equity takeout or something like that.
For sure, yeah, and it's been a long discussion always between myself and my friends who want to buy something, uh, not doing the analysis, just want to buy a rental unit at whatever price, a turnkey, and they're excited about that, and it doesn't cash flow or it's negative, and doesn't create a lot of wealth. What I would love for myself to do is to buy and hold long term. That's where the value comes from, for 5, 10, 15 years. Again, I want to have the option. If I want it, I can keep it forever. If I had to, I want to be able to sell it at the right time, at the right price. So, um, and looking at it very broadly, is that houses usually in Ontario, when I looked at these statistics, it doubled every 10 years. So a house, what we like this, when you buy it at 500, in 10 years, again, there are cycles. It depends on where in the cycle you are, but in general, if you smooth out the cycle, it's like you're looking at like $1 million house in 10 years. That's the wealth generator that you can't generate with anything else. But if the house is not cash flowing, I mean, it's negative. You got to put money in this business every month from your pocket. Then the question is how long you can do that. Maybe you can do it now, but when your family situation or work situation changes, or interest rate goes up, or anything in economy in your family situation changes, can you still support that? Or if you buy another house, can you support 2 houses? What if you bought 5 houses? Can you put money in 5 houses out of your pocket every month? So I want to be in that situation. I want to cash flow, or in like right now, like periods like now that is tougher to get anything cash flow in good markets like Hamilton. At least I want to be break even. So I don't want to put any money with accounting for the reserves, vacancy, everything. I'm going to be break even, and then the idea is you can hypothetically keep this business forever. It will support itself, and then once the opportunity comes, prices are high, you can change this, sell it and change it to a better. Then you want to sell at that time. You don't want to be in a situation that you're in a cycle downturn and you have to sell it, and you sell it at a lower price.
That's great advice. So what I'd like to do is just before we end the video is just kind of go through what goes into your construction plan. So if you're gonna, and I'll just move over here. So if you're gonna, do this for yourself, what would go? Actually, man, I think we covered this.
I know.
We covered that. We covered that. So let me stop sharing my screen, and let's just do an end. I'll edit this out.
Was the last slide?
What's that?
Was that the last slide?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So let's just do a summary on deal or no deal. Okay, we'll just do one of those things. Okay, so Mehdi, I appreciate you spending a lot of time here. I want to just end this before. All right, hold on. So Mehdi, I think now that we've covered off, kind of looking at that property at 358 Guelph, looked at the potential, talked a little about the numbers, talked about some best practices by putting together your plan and your construction plan and how you evaluate the property. What would you say at this point? You know, you've got a lot of experience, not only as a general contractor, but a lot of experience with your own investment properties. What would you think about this property? Is it a deal or no deal?
Well, based on the information that we have now, again, I haven't seen the property. I haven't done a good due diligence, but analyzing here looks like it's a good deal, because it can support itself. You can refinance it as a reasonable at a reasonable value, and pull your uh, capital out. It can support itself for for a long time, and I like it actually. I like it. There are, I would say this. So when I got started, I was so tied up on because I was listening to many podcasts, and books, and other investors, which were great help. But all of them were buying like off market great deals. They could like buy it half price, renovate it. By the time they were done renovating it, the house was worth triple the amount. They would refinance and pool like double the amount of money they invested. So those are great, but as a lot of them advise, those are home runs. You can't start playing and have a home run. So you got to start. You got to put your toe in. Start with something that makes sense. Start with something that might not have the greatest return of all time, but
Right.
that does make sense, and then go from there. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yeah, and I think for me, if when it comes to products, there's lots of interesting mortgage products out there that support this type of product or this type of investment. Like the Scotia Step is one of my favorites. I really like that product there. It's got the ability to grow with you as you grow. But I also really love the Manulife One. So the Manulife One is like an all-in-one mortgage product. Both of them do similar things. Just the Manulife One is more of a bank account too, as well as your checking account, your investment account, your HELOC, and your mortgage all in one. It's got a lot more flexibilities, but yeah. So I think just making the right decision, pencil the numbers. You know, you got lots of different strategies. You can house hack, you can turnkey, you can value add. I would say just if you're going to get into buying your first home, just do some due diligence and understand what you could do, what the possibilities are, instead of just buying, get a mortgage, and that's my single family home. Think about it as an investment strategy. That's my thought. And you as one person that's done it successfully many times, you can see that's where you put your investments, right?
Right? Yeah. And we can talk about. I think that would be a topic for
Another
another video.
discussion.
Benefits of owning rental properties. I love it. How powerful this investment could be. I love it. So maybe next time we talk about
We'll
that.
do that one. Okay, well, that's it for today. Thank you so much, Mehdi. I appreciate you coming on the show and, as always, providing your expertise.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. Thanks for having me.
Bye for now.